I can't get into all the different ways of why Bitcoin is so great. But one is that it's introduced a concept for the first time that is a paradigm shift in economics. And that is that it's introduced the idea of absolute scarcity. And so that means that the supply is totally inelastic. So let's assume the full issuance of Bitcoin is 21 million when it's fully issued in around the year 2140. So that means that no matter how much demand there is for more Bitcoin, there will be no more supply coming online. Now, interestingly, economists and academics that speak on this actually see that as a negative, which I think is actually quite absurd, because this is one of the primary
How are they going to opt in?
One of the primary innovations that Bitcoin represents. And the reason why, just flip the notes here,
is
because we've always had to work with a money that does not reflect what it is we're actually trading. When we commit ourselves to create value to work, what are we doing? We're sacrificing our time. Now, in the world of every good up until Bitcoin, if there was more demand, there would be more supply, right? But now we exist in an environment where no matter how much demand there is for it, there's no more supply. And the only other thing that has those characteristics that we engage with or that we experience on a day-to-day basis is our time. No matter how much we want more, we're not going to get it. When we spend it, we're not going to get it back. And we have a set amount of it. I guess we wish we knew how much exactly that was, but the punchline is we have a certain amount and we ain't getting any more. And so the reason why Bitcoin is such an incredible innovation is because we finally have something that can reflect the sacrifice of us spending our time. When we spend our time to create value and to do work, now we can get something in return that has commensurate qualities with that sacrifice. We get something that's equally limited, David, as the time that we commit and sacrifice to creating that value. That's a tremendous innovation. And I think it's going to rewrite the field of economics, because now we finally have a standard unit of measure for economics, not one that's constantly changing.
Nailed it.
And this also, of course, the big benefit of this is no more theft, right? When the supply can't be increased willy-nilly, that means that the people that create the money no longer have access to your savings just because they can create more supply and dilute the value of what you own. The ratio of how much Bitcoin you own relative to the total will never change. And that is an amazing thing. Now, as I said, some people think that that is actually a drawback. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why they cite that as a drawback is the influence on prices. And they say, well, it's too volatile for pricing. We need stable prices. And I actually think this is a leftover from the central banking era. Stable prices is a misguided objective. What you want is pristine prices. Why is that? Well, what are prices? Prices are meant to be information
like a porn star
regarding the preferences of the market actors. And so when you hold constant the supply of a money, that means that all the changes in prices are reflective of changes in preferences of market actors. Again, we've never had that before, but it permits pristine information to the market. And the more pristine the information the market has, the more it's capable of meeting the wants of market participants and properly and efficiently, most efficiently allocating the resources that market has.
Oh my God. There's so much, and I want to hear the prompt, Ben, but I just want to say, specifically in the last bit, it's like you can see it's just like there's so much branding in it, right? We're like pristine prices, right? It's like, I don't know. You're being sold something when people start talking like that. That's not somebody thinking about the economy, you know, right? That's somebody trying to make you buy shit from him.
Well, my favorite part of it is that I think there was a part in the middle where he endorsed the labor theory of value.
That was good.
That your time that you spend working is the foundation of economic value. I think he said that. But I yeah, that was bizarre, but I think that my favorite thing about that, right, is this is the super duper Bitcoin enthusiast, who's making his best case, and this is like the original ideological context of Bitcoin, are people like this guy, and I really enjoy that last part, that you don't want stable prices, you want pristine prices. I'm real curious about who this you is that doesn't care if like prices are bouncing all over the place, and because that like all that's important is that pristine market signals are being set, about what should be produced. I guess like that's the important thing, that like whether your like plans for like the groceries you were planning to buy that week, are going to be disrupted, because of these wild price swings, whatever. That's not even a worthwhile goal, like why aren't you focusing on whether the prices are pristine?
Yeah, that, and then I mean, who he's talking to though is people who hold Bitcoin, right? And like this is like or people who don't, who like might be persuaded to like throw some real money at it, and like, I mean, because there's two sides, there's two parts of the argument that he's making that are worth debunking, and like there's the ideological side, and then there's like the actual mechanical side. I don't want to talk too much. So I want to hear what Matt says, but like a couple of things, like, like the fixation on the fact that like there won't be any more Bitcoins, right? One, on a practical side, is very funny and is also extremely frightening if they ever got their way, which they won't, because this is not a currency. But can you imagine what's going to happen when we're starting to be, what 2140, when no more will be created? And all of the people who lost their Bitcoins, and all the coins that have been lost, right, because somebody forgot the code or lost the code, etc. Just there's nothing we can do about that, right? Because our brilliant system, for some reason that I frankly do not understand. I understand like why they like to use it as a selling point. I do not understand from like a macroeconomic level why you would want to limit the amount of currency in the economy, because
I do just want to jump. I mean, you're making a really important point, but I do just want to jump in and like circle and underline something you just said, because it's really important. Like we were talking about some of the other contrasts between spending normal money digitally and spending Bitcoin, if you're the that tiny percentage of people who are actually trying to spend it, or even just storing like as Bitcoin or as real money, from the perspective of like just an ordinary consumer. Because like if you bank at a bank, right, you do online banking, like like most people do now. Here's a thing that might happen sometimes: you forget your password. People forget their passwords all the time.
Yeah.
Well, if I forget my password at like, fill in the name of the bag, I'll realize I don't have it. There's a little thing there that says forgot password, and you can like, they'll ask you a bunch of information to figure it out, and you can set a new one. Whereas the Bitcoin key, that is much too large for any normal person to remember. So like you end up having to like put it on a physical USB or something, and you lose that, and that's just it. You're fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Like that seems like just like all of the like larger political points and all of the extremely good point about macroeconomics that you're building up to aside, like just from a logistical standpoint, that doesn't seem like what I would want to have.
I mean, I would rather bury money